Hello lovely people, welcome to the Extreme Wise Predictions channel, and in this video we are going to do our first Answer Monday videos, where on Mondays we are going to be responding to viewers or subscribers questions in the comment section. So if you want to be part of this video, want to be part of the channel in terms of responding to your questions, you can put down your questions in the comment section, and also don't forget to make it very specific. If you're new to the channel, kindly like, subscribe, and also don't forget to turn on your notification bell so that you can get notified when we post similar videos like this. Hi guys, the thumbs up is very important. Kindly give us a thumbs up so that YouTube can recommend the video to multiple viewers. Remember, today is Answer Monday. Let's get into the video. So we have Joyce Kelly 455 who said, love, you are very good. What is your name? So I go by, my name is David. You can call me David the Psychic, or you can call me David. I go by David, and most people call me, that's my given name. So I go by David, and you can call me David. We also have GTB61. He says, hi there, Extreme Wise. Thank you for sharing. What is the time frame for the pandemic and the New York banning? Will they occur in August? So when we talking about the pandemic, like in terms of the time frame and stuff, the pandemic has already started. It's just on a test phase. When they are coming to release pandemics, mostly it goes through like a test phase and stuff like that. The test phase has already begun already, and you can even see that your family, friends, or any relative or any people that are close to you, you can be getting notified that some people are getting sick, and here's a case that they feel a little bit kind of different, and where when you ask them what is actually wrong with them, they are unable to tell you what specifically is wrong with them. That is kind of the testing phase of this kind of pandemic that is coming. It's already underway, but the intensity of this pandemic is maybe what we are trying to get at. But it is up to the government to see whatever things that they have set in place, is it going to go by their plan before they release the pandemic into the worst cases and stuff like that, with the banning and stuff like that. I hear like September for the New York banning, September, but you don't be surprised if you see it start in August. But I hear September for the New York banning. And previously I've already done some predictions about different states that are going to have a lot of disaster and stuff like that, and New York was part of it. I'll go down with some of the questions that have been asked. I will reveal some of the other states in which I know that there will be disaster. Like I told you guys in my previous predictions, there will be disaster within. So it's not something that is coming from, it's going to be within. So we have Tiny. I said, will New Zealand free ourselves from the racist coalition running our economy into the ground and selling our beautiful country to the highest bidder? Thanks in advance. So with New Zealand, I don't think New Zealand is going to free themselves from the racist coalition at this moment. Not in the short run. I don't see that happening in the short run, because I see that the government currently has like a solid stand in parliament. So it's going to be impossible unless maybe there's a full leadership change. But I don't see that happening from a psychic point of view. I don't see that happening at this moment. Maybe what I'm picking up right now is that maybe they have a chance next year. Somewhere next year they have a chance to actually make that decision. In terms of that, I see that maybe it's going to go to the late of next year or early 2027. I see like late of next year, putting that policies in place for these things to stop. But at this moment, in terms of 2025 and majority of 2026, I don't see that happening right now. Okay, we have David, my namesake, also said that predictions for Israel. Example, will the war with Hamas end? That's the first question. And said, will it end in victory for Israel? And when will Netanyahu leave office? Will he be in prison with the other IDF members. So I with the Israel, like with the war with Israel and Hamas, I don't think this war is going to end. I don't see it stopping any far. Maybe you are talking about, will it break? Yes, it's going to break, but they are going to come back, and this war is not something that is a war that is ever going to end. It's like it's never going to end. It can break. They can go for a break for a while and then come back again. I don't see that the two countries have a sense of, peace. I don't see peace between them. But I see breaks within the war that may happen. I see that actually coming through. So there's nothing like, will someone be victorious in the war or something like that? I don't see that, because this is a history, way back history, that has never been resolved. So I don't see that happening. So there's not going to be any winner in this kind of war when it's happening. Will Netanyahu leave office? That is Benjamin Netanyahu. I see that Benjamin Netanyahu will leave office. That's what I'm picking up. I see a change in the leadership of Israel. I have already had this prediction that I see a total change in the leadership of Israel. But he being in prison, I don't see that happening. And I don't know why. But I see that he was guilty. I don't know if they pronounce him guilty. It looks like he was guilty in the eyes of the people, and he was guilty on paper as well. But it was like he was not available to be in prison. If I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. This is Answer Monday, so I didn't really go deeper into getting revelation or answers to some of these questions that you guys asked. I just glanced at it, and then whatever I picked up is what I'm actually responding to. So I see him that he was guilty on paper, but I don't see him going to jail. It was like he wasn't available. It was somebody was guilty, but he didn't come for sentencing, something like that. That's how I see it happening, and that's what I'm picking up in terms of Benjamin Netanyahu. So let's go to the next subscriber or the next viewer's question. Here's is it MDABLD? He say, when do you see a dip in U.S. stock market? So the U.S. stock market dipping will start August. I think it has already even started, but it's not like something that we can actually have a realistic, say that it has really been dipping. But I see it starting here in August, maybe the mid of August, and it will be intensified in September, because September I see a lot of disaster happening. So it's going to affect, prices of fuel. There's a lot of things that is going to happen in September. A lot of disaster going to be happening, and I see a lot of things changing. So I would say that, mid August, but you feel it properly in September happening. That's the timeline that I see, the US stock market dipping or going low. We see OTE 1000 also says that, will Africa be also affected by the new virus pandemic you spoke of, or will we be affected on a lesser degree like COVID was? In terms of COVID, Africa didn't was not affected less. Like the fact that Africa or African countries didn't set up testing centers for and make it a mandatory policy for its members or its citizens to actually go for testing, doesn't mean that COVID actually affected Africans the less. It was not like that. It was the fact that they had no testing centers, or they didn't put in policies to actually track the affected people or track the counts of affected people. These Western wars that we have, they actually put in policies and put in centers or build centers or employ people to actually track the viruses. So this new pandemic will affect every country actually equal. And I also was predicting that the vaccination of these animals will be thrown to Africa the most, because that is where their focus is, to test on that, how it's going to be able to control them. So that's how I see it happening. So the pandemic is going to affect people equally. But here's the case, that ask yourself, will Africa, you know, create policies or testing centers to actually get the count of this pandemic? Because I was only hearing that even with the testing, they only did with African countries, they were only doing it in the airport on your arrival. Those are foreign nationals or foreign people coming from other countries. They are bringing in the virus. So that was the count that they had. But the citizens within the country didn't have any mandatory to go and test in these testing centers. And then we in Africa will be thinking that, Africans were actually affected less, which is not true. So the pandemic is going to affect everyone equally, and that's how I see it. And it's just that the policies will not be put in place for Africans to track the pandemic equally. That's how I see it. So let's go to a new subscriber or a new viewer. It say above the grid. Yeah. It say, I live in California. Could you please tell us more about what could happen with the Pacific Ocean? Everyone I love live there. Okay. So with the Pacific Ocean, it's going to be very massive. That is, just to start off with, is going to be very, very massive. There's already going, and like there's already, okay, let me put it in this way. So with this, earth tremors and stuff like that, it start with earthquakes under the water. So the earthquakes are already happening under the water, and you can see that a lot of people, a lot of psychic will be terming it as there's going to be a lot of, there's going to be earthquake in California. It's already happening. This is already boiling under the water. And then the more the earthquake comes and it gathers and it becomes so strong, that is when earth tremors comes, and it is surface on the water. On the waters, like what happened, with our sister states and stuff like that. That's how it normally happens. So the earthquake is already happening, and this is very deep, and this is going to be very, very severe. I already had predictions about this earth tremors in my previous predictions already, and I told you Japan, Turkey, those people living in the Pacific around outside, Philippines, all those people are going to be affected. And I'm talking about in terms of in the US, California, and stuff like that. I've given you multiple states that will have disaster within, and California is part of it. You see, some of the states that I told you is going to have disaster within, Arizona is part, California is part, Florida is part. It already had that. And we have Georgia, we have Illinois, we have Massachusetts, we have New York, we have Texas. These are states that are going to be affected with these things. These are going to be happening, and I don't know. We need to be cautious. Predictions, I already told you, predictions are predictions. It's just for you to prepare for those things that are going to come. So the edges, so after the earthquake within, underground of the Pacific Oceans, it's going to surface, definitely. So when it surfaces, the edges of those Pacific Oceans will be severe. And this is going to stir up some dangerous flood, right? Dangerous stuff that's going to be happening. So we have to just be cautious and prepare. Those who live around those places, if you want to move, you can move, for some time till things cool down, and you can come back. But if you are there and it happens, it doesn't guarantee anything, but you have to be very, 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 very cautious. That's how you have to see things, and that's how I'm seeing things at this moment. Let's go to our next question. Is it Anonymous Australia history? So what is your method of coming up with predictions? So my method is just simple. I do meditation, I do pray, I do communicate with celestial beings. I do see visions and stuff. It comes to me through visions and stuff. There's a lot of things that I do. So meditation is one of the keys. You see, prayer is one thing. Prayer is talking to God. Meditation is actually listening to God. So I do meditate a lot. I see visions a lot. I communicate. I have celestial beings. You guys call it angelical beings come close to me, talk and we have verbal communicate. It's not like verbal in terms of opening the mouth, but anyone who has encountered angels knows that they talk through the mind. When you ask a question, that is when the answer drops, whilst you are actually physically viewing them, or in that spiritual eye looking at them in terms of that. That's how I get my predictions. So my predictions are set in stones in such a way that I ask about questions, or I pray about something and then the results comes, or something like that, or I meditate towards a specific thing that I'm looking an answer for. So maybe when you ask me a question that you are this and you live here and this and you are trying to do this, I ask the specific questions. That's why I like specific questions under my comment section, so that I will be able to get you the answers that you need. So that's how I get my predictions. So I pick and a lot of things come in mind. A lot of things comes to me as well. Like, sometimes there are things that are not relevant that comes. Maybe somebody will do this and do this, but I pick those ones that is going to hit mainstream for everyone to know. Because here's a case that if I predict about you personally, nobody knows whether it's true or not. If I'm telling you about your future that has not come through, and I start to tell you things next year that is going to happen, you don't have any validity in those kind of things. But when I'm talking about world event, things that will happen and they are happening, I cannot connive with the world to actually make things happen, because I'm not that powerful to control the world like that. So that's how I pick my things in terms of that's why I don't do personal readings and stuff like that. I do readings. I do my predictions for the world. So that's how I get my predictions comes to me. And I'm purely psychic. I'm not an astrology or anything. Like, I'm purely psychic, have communication with celestial beings or higher beings or higher consciousness. That's kind of things that I do. Yep. Let's go to the next person. It said Debbie Smith said, "What a scary time ahead of us. Are we going to survive the upcoming pandemic and vaccination program? I fear for my grandchildren. What sort of world are we going to be growing up in?" Yes, so like every pandemic, there are going to be survivors. Some will survive, some unfortunately will not survive. That's the truth of it. But we are praying that most people should survive through this pandemic. That's why we psychics, we all people who see the future or can predict the future will tell you that it will be very beneficial if you don't eat the meats. Train yourself not eat meat. You can eat fish. I don't know if they can vaccinate fish. I don't know, but those who are scientists and stuff who knows if vaccination can live in fishes. But here's a case that you have to take precautions and know what to eat. Whilst the pandemic is not fully, functionable, why don't we also try to take precautions and prepare, so that when it comes, the things that they have in plan for us will not actually succeed or something like that. So that is what I have for that one. Ben from Germany also said, great predictions indeed. What is your meditation practice? Do you meditate on a daily basis? Meditation is really good, I'll say that. And I do meditate on a daily basis, but not intensive on a daily basis. Intensively, I do this like on my part-time stuff in terms of doing predictions. I'm not a full-time. This is not my what I actually live on. No, I do part-time because I've been seeing, hearing things, communicating since I was like 14. So I know I just wanted to do it. I needed a platform to actually do it. I was first doing it, I think, on Facebook or something. I didn't have views like that. And I decided to, this year come on YouTube and stuff like that. So like I decided to create a name for myself. I didn't want to use my name at first. And so I decided to pick a name, and I saw that extreme wise predictions sounds good to me, because I have a lot of things to predict about, but I predict about extremely wise things where those things are going to hit the mainstream media. That's how. So yeah, intensively I do 3 times a week. in terms of my meditation. I do 3 times a week. But when you talk about practice, my meditation practice or something like that, you can meditate anytime, anywhere, and literally under any circumstances. Meditation simply means awareness. So and awareness means you knowing what you are feeling, you are thinking, you are seeing, and also what you are doing. So that is what meditation. Most people, or many people, sometimes say that when you meditate, do not think about anything. And I would say that that is actually wrong. And they will say that do not think about anything and empty your mind and then concentrate. But I would say that that is not true, because when you try to empty your mind in terms of meditation, you will realize that you become unaware. You are unable to become aware, because anything that is coming your mind, you are focusing on blocking it away. So now what happens is that your mind will be, convoluted. You don't know what you are actually doing, and then you are trying to. It's like someone is trying to enter your house, and then you are forcing to lock the door. Anything else that comes your way, you're not going to notice. So I would say that, trying to, empty your mind, trying to block things and stuff like that, it's not a way to meditate. Meditation takes time for you to master it, actually. So your mind can do one thing at a specific time. When you make your mind, do multiple things, you are unable to do anything at all. And you see, and you need to become aware of something and maintain that awareness. So that is what meditation is. Become aware of something and then maintain that awareness. It's like driving a car and then you are using cruise control. You have maintained the speed of the vehicle. So you have to be aware of something and maintain that awareness, and then focus on that awareness. You see, and whatever you are aware of becomes your meditation. That is when you are starting meditation. Normally many people, many thoughts will come into your mind and stuff like that. Because you are beginning, it will happen. A lot of things will come into your mind. Don't try to block it, but just focus on the one thing that you are focusing on. So some people say they focus on objects. The object is not the awareness. The object becomes the thing, or the very thing that connects you to the awareness. I don't know if you understand what I mean. So when you are focusing, let's say I'm focusing on a bright light, the bright light is the one that is connecting me to my awareness. Your awareness will come to you, and that becomes, it could be things that you are seeing. It could be your guardian angel. It could be any celestial being that you are working with, or something like that. That is how it actually is. And then you have to develop that friendship, or that friendship relationship with yourself and with your consciousness as well. So your awareness becomes your consciousness that is going to be bringing you things. But whatever that you are focusing on, in terms of the very thing that you are focusing on, is your channel to your awareness, and you have to be able to be friends with your awareness. That's why I tell you that do not try to empty your mind, because your consciousness, your subconsciousness will try to bring you things. So when you are trying to empty things or trying to block things, when your subconsciousness is coming to bring you things, you say it is not really true. So you'll be blocking the things. That's why a lot of people cannot meditate. You'll be blocking the things that needs to come to you, that is very important, and you will not be able to meditate. So you focus on the awareness, you focus the very thing that you are actually using as a stepping stone, and then you use that to connect to your awareness. You understand? So a lot of people, when they are free in their mind and they begin to meditate, immediately they go into meditation. The awareness comes and things comes to them very easily. Focusing on an object is not actually an awareness. So like I say, it is the frequency point, or is the reference point that connects you to the awareness. So focusing on a bright light, focusing on the fact that you are on an ocean, focusing on you are in a peaceful place and stuff like that. It is a reference point that will connect you to your awareness. So when you are trying to block things after you are at your reference point, that means that when your awareness is trying to come through, you have already blocked it. It's not coming. That is why a lot of people become, they are unfriendly with their, subconsciousness, and their subconsciousness cannot reveal things to them in terms of bring them to the real awareness. So that's how it is. I can put in a separate topic solely for meditation, and we can go a little bit deeper in terms of that. And thank you for asking that question. And let's go to Ellen Paul. Ellen Paul says that these are bold predictions, no doubt. I will ask you again what you see in Kenya. You see, that's why I say, when you ask me a question like, what do I see in Kenya? I really don't see anything, because you are not being specific. When you are not being specific in such a way that I need to know what you need me to predict about. I cannot be on your call with you and then, tell me like, hey, what do you see about my life? No, you have to tell me something. What do you want to know? Then when I start to talk about it, I can pick other things that will come around it. You understand what I mean? So let me see, if I want to talk about, US, and I want to talk about the government, Trump and stuff like that. When I start to relate to the government, Trump and stuff like that, I will start to pick things up that is surrounding the government, surrounding the presidency, surrounding, people in power around him and stuff like that. And I'll begin to give you a lot of, predictions in that regards. But let me see what I can try and pick up in terms of Kenya. With Kenya, like in terms of what they have. So with Kenya, generally, I see that there's going to be like protests all around the country. You see, so if you don't ask me a question directly, what happens is that I may be saying things that has already happened. I may be saying things, so I need some guidance. And then Kenya is not a country that is in the mainstream that everybody can go and then see the things that are actually happening in Kenya. Kenya is not that popular like that. So generally, all over, I see there's going to be a lot of protests all over. I don't know if it's happening already. There's going to be a lot of protests all over, but there's going to be a cry for leadership change. That's what I'm picking up. When I started talking about the US thing, I'm just connecting to Kenya. So I see that people in Kenya are not happy. It's like I see right now, I'm seeing people on the streets. I don't know what street it is. I'm seeing people on the streets, and I see them holding a lot of, sticks and stuff. Like, it's not like sticks for caning, but a lot of things on cards and stuff like that. I think in their country, I see it in terms of like boards, like wooden boards or something like that, and they have written things on it. I see them protesting, and I see like, the government, the president is on fire or something like that. That's what I'm seeing. I don't see the president burning, but it looks like they need a leadership change. That's what I'm seeing in the country. And I don't feel that they will have it now. Maybe in a couple of years. I see they are really crying for leadership change, and I don't see it happening now. I see a major, I like, whilst I'm talking about it and I said fire, I see like two major fires that is going to be hitting, Kenya. One is close to, I don't know. You see, that's why I like to have specifics. One is close to, it's like a university. Do you guys have like a major university in Kenya? So I see a fire that is close to a major university in Kenya. So it's like on the front of the major university. I don't even know what the name is. So um it's like I see a school on my right hand side, and then the street is within that right hand side. And when you move on the street going downwards, there is like a left turn. It's not a left turn in front of the university, but there's a left turn after the university on that lane. On that lane going downwards, there should be something that is on your right hand side. I see a fire that is going to be catching up on that side. The other fire, I don't know where it's going to be happening because I just picked it up. I don't know where it's going to be happening, but I see two major fires. That's why I like, you see, that's why I like my stuff to be specific. let me just stop, with this prediction about Kenya. But let me see. Whilst I'm saying let me stop, I see like the people will try to impeach the president, but it's not going to work. There's going to be, yeah, they are going to try to impeach the president, but it's not going to work. But I also see that a former, isn't is it a former president? It could be somebody part of the presidency. It's not really, I don't see him like he is the leader. Do you guys have like a second, like a vice president? Like I see like a vice president, a former vice president who passed away. He was first a former vice president. I think he was maybe removed or something like that. It looks like I see his head, cut off or something like that. I don't like to do this prediction. I don't like to do this, please. Let me shift my intention again. I see inflation is going to go up in the country. There's social unrest, so inflation is going to go up in the country. I know the inflation is going up already. It looks like it's going up already, but I see it going up a little bit more. And in the next few months, it's going to be at a record high. Yeah, but I see it's going to be a record high. They'll hit inflation at a record high soon. I see also, I don't know if Kenya, I see some escalation in the country in Kenya around the border. And I see it's like an Islamic country. Do you guys have like an it's like some I'm hearing the word Somalia. So if you I don't know the map of I don't know the map of Kenya anyways. If you share border with Somalia, I see an escalation around those borders of some crisis around those borders. There's going to be crisis around those borders, and I see that escalation coming through those borders as well. So guys, I don't know if it's happening already. I don't know, but I see that you are sharing a border with a Muslim country, and it looks like the Muslim country I'm listening to is Somalia, and there is going to be crisis in that border. So very good, I don't know how you guys are going to do it, but that's what I see, some crisis within those borders. And generally there's going to be, I know there's a lot of things that are happening in the world right now. We already predicted about them. I would like to be doing like predictions that came through kind of videos like that, but I'm not doing this full time. So it's very, very tedious for me as well. But I see that fuel price is going to go up. Like I already had the prediction already. And in August, it looks like August, September, there's going to be a lot of secrets about powerful people in power coming up. I don't know if it's going to be part of a Epstein file or something like that, but it looks like secrets about powerful people in power are going to be leaked. It's something that I hear coming. Also, whilst I'm talking about Kenya and stuff, like I see like powerful people will have their secrets leaked out. I don't know how it's going to happen, but this is something that I see coming. Guys, I may add some more predictions in the channel. Kindly like, subscribe, and also don't forget to turn on your notification bell so that we can get notified when I post similar videos like this. Remember, it is Answer Monday on the Extreme Wise Predictions channel.